Okay. All right. Hey everybody. How are you doing? So I'm using the tea leaf fortune cards today, and I thought that they said this is the bag you use to shuffle the cards, but I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to do that because it's not really shuffling. So we're just we're just not gonna do that. I wanted to use some cards I haven't used in a while. I was like, I haven't used the tea leaf in a minute, or the Dow Oracle. So I'm using both of these today. Also in my personal life. So my resume is finally good. And my friend was like, if you want a good resume, like it's good, but if you want it to be stellar, then you can do more. And he's been teaching me so much right now. Like it's because of him that I've learned to say yes more. Um, Also, like everything that I've talked about as far as I don't know. I'm just the most recent thing that I'm learning from him is I'm learning how to listen to him because he's actually like fairly. I don't want to say legit, but he's pretty knowledgeable. He's a pretty stellar dude, um, and he's a Libra, so I guess he gets his way or something. I don't know. Maybe it has nothing to do with being a Libra, but I learned to listen to him, and um, now my resume is like really good. And again, it's like I was proud of myself before. But like with this version of my resume, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. And there was this one job. Well, there are a few jobs about a week, maybe a week and a half ago, that popped up in my email under the job alerts for a company that I'm looking into right now. And there was one job, I was like, oh my gosh, this would be like right up my alley. And then there was another job, and that's the one I was talking about when I was like, y'all know how I can be a little like anal retentive sometimes? Well, this is a job that lets me do that, where it's like kind of sort of in my job description. So it's perfect for me. And last night, I let my buddy know, I was like, hey, I sent you the final version or the most recent version, and I plan on starting to apply for jobs tomorrow, 222. And there was like this one minor correction. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Um, and then I wake up today to an email and the job alerts for today because I get job alerts like every day. That position that I wanted to apply for, I got another alert for it today. So I'm gonna do that later today, and I'm really excited. I'm also gonna apply for, or I'm gonna look at some other positions. There was one program that was like it's a American based company, but the program is in the UK. So I'm gonna apply for that one. There's a few other positions I'm gonna apply for first, and then I'm gonna like spread out and branch out from there. So I don't know, like I think the UK would be like cool. I mean, it would be really cool, honestly. But like for now in my life, I don't know if that's necessarily something that I want right now. But also at the same time, it's like it's a really good program. I'm assuming, right? It would position me fairly well. And like I know people over there. Like my best friend, his family's over there. And he's about to relocate over there. So he would be a few hours away from where this is. But like his family would be in town. And I don't know, it'd be really cool. And like maybe I'd meet a cute British dude or European man. That would be awesome, right? But I guess cute dudes are all over the planet. So who is this? Opposition. Opposition number 38. It says opposite viewpoints, personal differences, a communication gap, disharmony, misunderstandings, and estrangement. It reminds me of one of the face cards in a playing card deck. What's the most interesting here, though? Because it's like the head is positioned around the other person's heart. And so it's kind of a little bit of that energy. It's like where maybe you think you know, or you do know, you believe you know how someone feels, but they're not communicating it. And then there may also be things that you're holding on to that you feel that they know, but you're not communicating it. And so the lion came out, time to act. It's time to clear up any miscommunication, especially in spaces where it's like there is a lot of love or there is a lot of. I thought there was a card. There was a card that was like flipped over, but it's not here anymore. Okay. And like love isn't everything. I mean, it's a lot, but if there isn't a willingness to put in work or to communicate, then it can break down, right? This could be family, it could be lovers, it could be anybody. But the time to clear that up is now. And there may be a level of acceptance that needs to happen here because it does say personal differences. But yeah, time to act with that lion card. So we're going to leave that there. All right. So that was just that. Anyway, or what else could that be? That could be like bottom of the deck is keeping still. Meditation, self renewal, composure, detachment, self acceptance, equanimity, and serenity. I believe I'll put it on top. This could also be internal, or maybe it's like your head and your heart are on two different sort of wavelengths. It feels like maybe the head and the heart could be directing you in two different ways, but it feels like it's still like for similar reasons or something like that. Cutting to darkening of the light. Okay. Ooh, that was a good shuffle. Those got nice and tight and snug. I'm feeling better today. Yesterday, I was feeling so woozy. I woke up feeling woozy. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, oh, in that crown area. And then I got some contacts thanks to Miss Remy to some of the dreams I've been having or had a while ago. I was like, oh, this makes sense. I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. And then it makes sense with that other dream. This is a lot of cards. We'll do it. The Marrying Maiden, number 34, 54, 54 at the bottom of the deck. A compromising situation, subordination, succumbing to seduction, manipulation, and low self esteem. Hmm. And the card at the top is decrease. We have number 41, decrease. It's decline, cutting back, frugality, contraction, letting go, less is more, resourcefulness, and a sacrifice. 13, companionship. It's friendliness, mutual respect, shared goals, interdependence, agreement, strengthening bonds. 55, abundance, plenty, profusion, generosity, fertility, ripeness, inner riches, reaping rewards, culmination, and harvest. Completion, 63. Final attainment, victory, a crescendo, a job well done, perfection, peak performance, and prudence. And number 8, holding together. Union, cooperation, solidarity, membership, teamwork, participation, and making a choice. Okay. This was a journey. Well, actually, like we start at decrease. So maybe we did have to take a step back, especially from that the mismatch card. What was it? I literally just read it from that mismatch card. But it goes decrease companionship, then abundance, completion, and then holding together. The bottom of the deck being the marrying maiden. It's almost like it's an energy where it's like you can't be committed to more than one thing at a time. right? And it's like if you hold this commitment to limitation and lack and fear, then you can't at the same time welcome like abundance and expansion and love. Like they can't really exist in the same space. One of them is going to sort of win out over the other. And it's not that you can't like feel fear or that you can't um like doubt yourself at points, but it's like, well, which set of emotions is stronger? Which do you believe more? If you believe in love more, then you will conquer fear. You will overcome them. If you believe in fear more, then you will sabotage, let go of, run away from, be repulsed by love or anything that goes against what you're fearing. And then development, number 53, is under number 54, the marrying maiden. Development could be like there are things that led to you being in this position, or you can be moving forward. Oh, look. Okay. Oh, opposition. This was a card. So maybe opposition is why we start with decrease. The corners of the mouth is below opposition, but we have before completion, number 64. And completion is on the table. So before completion, development, and then the marrying maiden. And it almost feels like regret. Maybe. I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of reading. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. So I like that. Before completion. And it's the opposition before completion. This is very much so that like it's the May retrograde energy. Opposition before completion and then development and the marrying maiden. It's like these we're going to be working through these chains and we're going to be learning to release them so we can commit ourselves more fully to that which is coming. And again, we start at decrease, so it's like we have to take a step back, and it feels like in taking that step back there could be certain fears that are amplified, or there could be certain like worries or concerns where it's like whatever we fear happening, maybe we'll it's not that we'll experience it, but that fear will rise, and then we may have the opportunity to work through it to the point where it no longer prevents us from committing to that which we wish to commit to. So I'm gonna give this a few these thingies, these shuffles, and then I'm gonna pull five, and then I'll pick up the other half of the stack, and I'll do five more. One for each of these cards. We'll do two more. Last one. Oops. Okay. I'm actually gonna leave this here since that came out here, and I'm gonna put these here. We got bear, we got V, the empty chair, the egg, and then owl came out on top of completion. Bottom of this side of the deck, or this half, is claw. Be careful, do not take risks. Honestly, that sounds like fear, which is why the marrying maiden is down here. And one of the things here is low self esteem. I feel like I've seen. Oh, there's a card in here. I think it's the Dare to Dream card. I was like, I feel like I've seen this motif recently. Is it at the bottom? I think it's the bottom of this deck too. It is. Hey, I was like, I know I've seen this recently. Oh, okay. The Fate card was under Dare to Dream. So that sounds like development before completion to me. see on one of these, it's like, be careful, do not take risks. And then the other one, it's dare to dream. And it's very similar sort of imagery, except for one of them is holding the diamond, the other one is holding on to the rough. And I talked about the diamond in the rough yesterday for one of the zodiacs. It's like you're presenting someone with a clod of dirt, expecting something of value, and it's like the all the other person sees is dirt. You're the only one that knows that the diamond is in the rough, but it's to uncover it, right? And maybe that's what that opposition card can be too, because one head was on a heart and then the other head was on that heart. I'll just show you. Right. It's like maybe in these situations you can see the diamond in the other person's rough. Or maybe this was like a job opportunity that you had where you were a very promising candidate, but you never sort of, I don't want to say you never lived up to your potential, but there was more that you could have given the situation. And instead of, it reminds me of my friend in the sense of like, I don't really like being challenged by him. And because I don't like to be challenged by him, a lot of times I don't like listen to him or I'll dismiss what he says, even if I know that he may be correct because of what it comes with. And what I've been discovering lately is that like he has a like reverse psychology doesn't really work on me. Like if you tell me like, oh, like you're trash, or negative reinforcement doesn't work with me. If you're like, oh, like this is trash, this is terrible, like that's not going to motivate me to do better. That's not going to motivate me to do more. All it's going to do is motivate me to GTF away from you and to go and do my own thing. And there are some people where it's like if you tell them that they can't do something, then it motivates them to do it anyway. I'm not really the type of person to do stuff out of spite or to spite other people. So again, it doesn't work on me. Um, that's what I would tell him all the time. I'm like, I need encouragement and support. Like, and well, so I would tell him that I needed encouragement and support, right? But then I was like super depressed and unmotivated and holding on to the depression and the fear and the worry and the anxiety. I was holding on to a lot more of the fear and the anxiety that like when he would try to give me encouragement and support, it wasn't really effective either. So I guess in his book, it was like, well, it's a lose lose. So, but I feel like there are things that we see in each other. And in the space of this miscommunication, it's like almost learning to motivate yourself in the proper way. But not only is that motivation important, it's also important that we develop beyond these limitations. Because if we don't take care of this, then nothing is going to change. It reminds me of that, like every time I would see like the two of wands into the three of swords. It's like as soon as we start to begin, there's some kind of like three of swords energy that holds us back, that keeps us from fully giving to a situation. And with this opposition card, it's just that like I know you have more to give than this. And it's reaching that time where I can't wait around and wait for this thing to potentially never happen. Right. And this could be you with you. And a lot of times it's like, it can come off as really harsh to ourselves. And so maybe we need to find a way to motivate ourselves into reaching and attaining those things. Or maybe we need to find an understanding with somebody else, right? It's clear it needs clear communication either way. But again, motivation only does so much if your commitment to fear is more, because then ultimately you won't do it. And it's not a matter or a sense of like not having the resources or the encouragement to do it. It's just that you're more afraid. Ooh, a bridge. I'm actually going to leave this where it fell. So we have Fair Man. That's the first time I've seen the Fair Man. Kite, May, and Success, and the flag. Bottom of the deck over here is the mule. I saw a video of somebody with a baby donkey. She had like a baby donkey in her arms and she was like doing something. It was on Twitter. I didn't watch it. I saw the thumbnail for a video. A girl with a donkey. I'm like, oh, a donkey. It reminds me of that one Taurus reading that Eve did, I think. Yeah, because Pisces had the cat. So we're gonna do some reading today. It's fine. I like to read. I used to love reading. Like books used to be my escape. Like I read almost everything in my elementary school library to the point where like I got a library card and I was like, oh my gosh, the library is like the coolest place ever. And then I stopped reading because I got a Nintendo 64. I was playing Glover and Mario Kart. Glover was hard. I never got too far in that game. I'm like, I don't know why I'm not seeing this. Hello, because I'm in the wrong book. You looking in the wrong book. I was like, why am I not finding what I'm looking for? Ooh, there's increase. Increase comes after the decrease. Here we go. So first we start with decrease. I'm gonna read the whole thing. I'm not gonna read the next thing. I have 5. Do I need 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How do I want to do this though? Hold up, because I just found these yesterday. I think. Oh, nope. I mean, I did find them yesterday, but I don't think they're here anymore. They are here. That's fine though, because I already have some in the box. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the entry, and then they have this like top line, first line, second line, third line, fourth line, fifth line, bottom line. Because I have 6 cards, I'm also gonna read those at the end to give us a little bit of a journey. Boxes are so snug. I'm like, oh, you're a little difficult. There we go. Okay. I'm gonna tuck this here. All right. Oops. Decrease. The Tao decreases and increases as it is needed, and personally and on a grand scale. There are times when letting go seems devastating, the end of the world. However, it doesn't always have to be so, and it might help to remember that less is sometimes more. Look at these trees. There are 2 trees in my backyard, 2 like deciduous trees. And last year we noticed that there's a little like evergreen bush, or there's a little baby evergreen tree that grew between them. It's like, when did that happen? There's like this little, it was like, where did it come from? But there's this little evergreen tree. So evergreen, like it's always green, like these pine trees in the back. But the 2 beside it are these like leafy trees that like when the winter comes, like they're barren. But there's this little baby tree between them that's always there. Um, anyway, the Tao decreases and increases as it is needed, impersonally and on a grand scale. There are times when letting go seems devastating, the end of the world. However, it doesn't always have to be so, and it might help to remember that less is sometimes more. The whole of nature is an ebb and flow. The tides, the seasons, the very breathing of all living creatures. We appreciate some aspects of nature's letting go, but we run into trouble when the same dynamic is at play in our own lives. The word decrease is generally equated with something bad: diminishing returns, less money, less love, less influence, less security, and so on. But this one sided perspective doesn't take into account the quality of decrease that is an essential part of the dynamic of growth. It is the part that curbs excess, trims the fat, facilitates the restoration of balance, and brings us to our knees, where we must find the inner resources to grow into a fuller realization of our potential. See, that's the diamond in the rough thing. The message of decrease implies the need to cut back, to acknowledge the importance and the adequacy of the bare essentials. While it is a pleasure to accumulate and comfortable to have more than you really need, once the comfort zone has grown excessive, it becomes burdensome. Getting too cozy creates stagnation and defeats the drive to get out and explore new territories, just as too much good cooking can make you fat if you don't energetically work it off. It ain't even good cooking though. You can eat bad food. Like McDonald's ain't good cooking. But I just watched Hancock and he was like, you should sue McDonald's because they F you up. Anyway, sorry. Always have everything you need right at your fingertips. Always having everything you need right at your fingertips can create complacency or downright laziness. Decrease marks the time for simplifying your life and the very process of cutting back and paring things down to the essentials, whether it's on an emotional level in material possessions or a sheer extravagance of pleasurable occasions, brings you right where you need to be in order to remain in sync with the changing climate of the times. Put aside any worries you might have about making what might appear to be sacrifices now by remembering that periods of decrease can awaken your resourcefulness and sharpen your sensitivity to the world around you. It's an opportunity to find out that life can be just as rich and meaningful without the ribbons and bows, just as pleasurable without all the little indulgences you might have grown accustomed to. The lesson to be learned now is how to willingly cut back on activities or thought patterns that are draining your energy or otherwise taking more of your attention than you can afford. If life proceeds to facilitate this process by forcing you to cut back even more, turn your attention to making the most of what you have rather than focusing on what is being taken away or what's happening for the guy next to you. It is an invitation to contemplate the bigger picture of your life and sort out the essential from the non essential. If you can learn to pass through times of decrease without fretting and trying to hold on, you will come to understand the benefits that simpler times always bring. Like a good spring cleaning, letting go can freshen your outlook, create more room to grow, and unburden your heart. I saw something on probably Twitter yesterday, or maybe Facebook, and it was talking about FedEx and how FedEx will never be shut down, and how like what an essential worker is. And it was like, all of these material things that we've been sort of buying and accumulating in the space of the lockdowns, a lot of those things weren't essential. Like what is essential is, the people in like the healthcare industry and, keeping us fed and stuff like that, right? Groceries and stuff like that. But anything that is non-health related is non-essential. Now that is one perspective. As humans, there is a certain amount of enjoyment that is nice for us on probably like a mental level that leads to like emotional and physical. So anyway, the tea leaf fortune cards that came out here, it's bear on the left and fair man on the right. Bear says danger, especially in money matters. Dealings or relationship with a man with blonde, gray, or white hair is the fair man. Honestly, this is giving me polar bear energy instead of like the brown bear or a Kodak bear or a sun bear or any other bear, right? It's a polar bear, and it reminds me of the bear card I saw in the Lenormand yesterday or the day before. I don't remember. The Mirror Truth Lenormand, and it was this energy of like us holding ourselves us holding ourselves in a position of decrease because we're afraid to come out of the cave. Like the winter is long over, right? And so it's almost like, and there is a moon card, or moon card. There is a moon, a very, very very crescent, almost new moon in this decrease card. So it feels like this is a weed and it's rooted very deep in something. And if we're experiencing a significant amount of decrease, or if we feel like we're really being pulled back, then it's almost like that's the deeper whatever resistance is that keeps us in this sort of state. That's where that lies. It's like it's trying to pull us back there. And it's like, we can only go so long without food, water, or entertainment. It's like on SpongeBob when he was like, food, water, atmosphere. Like, the atmosphere is important. It isn't necessarily essential because you can live without it, but it is important. Also, unfortunately, polar bear is an animal that's like losing its habitat. And so there is an energy of almost like being forced out of home or being forced out of your comfort zone. And it's like if you resist decrease to the point where you're forced to do something, depending on what the situation is and how spirit is going to push this, I guess, it can force you out more and more. But it's like in this time of decrease, you learn to appreciate the things that it's like in this time of decrease, you learn what really matters to you. And after you learn like what really matters to you, then it feels like you can better be able to navigate this relationship between like you can better navigate this energy, right? Whoo! This is gonna be longer than I thought. I was only gonna get like one or two cards and then five cards flipped over. It's fine. So next is number 13, companionship. Maybe companionship is something that's really important to you. In this time of decrease, maybe there's been someone in your life. There's like there could be a person in your life who holds a certain it's like who holds a certain energy, who holds a certain frequency, who holds a certain position. No. It's like, let's say that, for example, if there is someone in your life who is super spiritual or religious, and you go through a period of hard times, right? And then it's like you go to the person, if it's a time when everyone is experiencing sort of challenge, or if there's someone that that experienced a certain challenge, and then you hit a period of decrease, then it's like, you may go to that person and ask them like how they did it or how they made it through. And so like that's the energy that this companionship is sort of carrying for me so far. And it's like now you're in a space to be open to things. And it reminds me again of what I said maybe 3 days ago about how a lot of times we'll go to the divine or we'll go to spirit and, like we promise that we'll change our lives and we'll clean up our act if the divine does something for us. And then the divine does it and we may not honor what it is that we said we would do. And what is so funny is that I use the example of Taco Bell, and then later that night I ate Taco Bell. I went to Taco Bell that night. The potatoes at Taco Bell are so good though. I'm like, I love these potatoes. It's fine. So, companionship. Ooh, these are a little longer. I'm glad I got water today. The focus now is on human relationships, how each person can best realize his or her individual potential within a love relationship, a family, or the larger community. and how a gathering of individuals can come together and function as a harmonious whole. Working together toward common goals strengthens the connections between people and enriches the larger community. There is a special warmth that comes from combining forces or gathering together with others of like mind. It is easier to withstand hardship with the support of the community, and the joyful moments of life are even sweeter when they can be celebrated with friends. Put quite simply, we need one another. Our individual qualities are uniquely ours, but they are polished and refined through interaction with others. The willingness to be open with unequivocal respect for each individual's uniqueness is the lubricant that keeps relationships running smoothly. A deep trust gradually develops between those who share a common vision and work respectfully side by side towards its realization. No matter how diverse our backgrounds may be, when we come together in an atmosphere of sincerity and trust, we can actualize even our most utopian dreams. As each member of a partnership contributes in his or her own way to the achievement of a shared goal, the bonds between individuals in that endeavor are strengthened. It takes time for our roots to grow strong in common ground with others. The strengthening happens over time and through all kinds of climates. The totality with which we can share our capacities and talent is the litmus test of how nourished we feel by the association. If we can find ourselves withholding energy or wavering, if we find ourselves withholding energy or wavering about whether to stay or go, it is a sign that we are not ready within ourselves to make any commitment, or that we simply have not found the partner or fellow travelers we are seeking. This said, in an atmosphere of trust, so annoying. What's all this throat stuff lately? This said, in an atmosphere of trust, in fact, no one is monitoring how much is given or judging what form a contribution should take. In an environment where comparison is the rule and where the norm is for everyone to be constantly measuring himself against the other guy, trust is impossible. Every individual has a part to play in the greater scheme of things, and although a structure might be needed for the smooth functioning of a group, it has nothing to do with hierarchy. Real unity, the kind of unity that distinguishes a community from a mere crowd, lies in a profound quality of mutual respect and a deeply felt recognition of the value of each and every participant. Finally, a spirit of harmony among friends, between lovers, or within a community needs to be centered around a core that serves as a kind of invisible glue to hold things together. This can be an individual who is loved and respected by all, or it can be a shared understanding and vision of life that moves in the hearts of each. And what I love about that when it said, real unity, the kind of unity that distinguishes a community from a mere crowd, lies in a profound quality of mutual respect and deeply felt recognition of the value of each and every participant. And honestly, that's what it feels like this opposition card is doing. Right. Like it feels like that recognition of the other is there. And I guess they are looking like slightly down, right? Like slightly off of the heart. And so it's like like if it would look up, then it would get that perfect sort of like synchronization. But for whatever reason, maybe we're like focusing on what somebody else isn't doing. And so that keeps us from doing even more. And I'll be honest, like there are certain situations because I know I can give a lot. And so if I don't get anything, then I don't really give anything, right? Or like I might enter a space like giving a lot, but if I'm not met and feeling like I'm receiving, or if like I don't feel appreciated, then I'll start to like step back. And I'll step back until it feels comfortable, right? I was like, okay, this feels like a comfortable amount of exchange. Like I'm no longer going to be overly giving in a situation, and I've never really been the type of person to appreciate being taken advantage of. And usually when I feel that way, I just like pull out completely. Or like I do like, scale back, like I said. But in that like pulling back and the scaling back, it causes the dynamics to change. And if you get a certain type of person, like they'll do the bare minimum to get like everything from you. And when you pull back, then they get upset or they start to like I don't want to say narcissistic because I don't think it's necessarily that necessarily. It's just like, when we get used to something and then it's no longer there, we start to worry, we start to question, we start to wonder, right? But also the thing about companionship is that it's for us to realize that we all sort of like play different parts and we all give differently. Just like with my best friend, right? Oh my gosh, it's so weird that I call him my best friend, but that's what he is. In the beginning of our relationship, I was like, I don't need someone who only takes from me. Right. I was like, I don't need, like, I'm not interested in takers. Like, if you're not going to give me anything back, if this isn't going to be mutual, then like, I'm gone. I'm not interested. And I don't need frenemies. I'm not interested in frenemies because that's weird. Like, if like why am I giving time and energy and effort to like, no, that's not me. Maybe somebody else you can play those games with, but that ain't me. But what I wasn't seeing was like all of the ways that he was giving to me, and like just the fact that like we would spend time together is something that was very important to me in those moments and in those times. If it wasn't important to me, I wouldn't have been going to spend time with him. And it's like you got the one slacker who was me, and then you got the like straight A student who was him. And he would always be like studying or working on his work, and he'd be like, "Oh, oh, I'll have time for this later." And so then I would go and hang out, and later would never happen. I'm like, "You didn't have time." I was like, we didn't even do it. Like, why am I here?" And he was like, "Oh, well, like it took me longer than I thought." And so I'll be like, "Well, like if you don't know for sure that you're gonna have time, then like tell me that up front. Just be like, like this might take a little longer than like or I anticipate." And it's like if you see that it's not gonna happen, then let me know. Hey, like it probably isn't gonna happen tonight because I got more than I thought. Rather than just like leaving me like sitting there waiting the whole time. But anyway, long story short, that was a long time ago. That was an old Patrick. I didn't see the ways in which he was giving because I wasn't receiving in the way that I needed to receive in that moment, in the way that I wanted to receive. Also, fun fact, I wasn't giving to myself. Also, fun fact, even if he would have given me what I wanted or needed in that moment, I wasn't in a position myself. Like, this was me. I wasn't in a position myself to do anything with it. And so it does, it creates these like impossible sort of scenarios, which is why I'm like so grateful that like we he stuck around. And it's not like, our friendship was always terrible. Like we had obviously, like if it was constantly terrible, then neither one of us would have stayed in it. And it's not like I wasn't like helpful or like useful. I like to tease him and say that I'm the reason why he got the job he got. Because he was like, Patrick, like, do a mock interview with me. Like, do a mock interview. I'm like, I don't even like, why don't you go to the CCO, the Center for Career Opportunities? Like, go to a professional mock interviewer. Like, what am I going to do? I don't know anything. But he forced me to do the mock interview. And then he did really well in his interviews. And he was like, yeah, like, they even asked some of the things that you asked in the interview. I was like, yeah, okay, well, I want my payment. I want my percentage of that first check. But I wasn't in a position, even though I craved that companionship, I wasn't in a position to appreciate it or to be a participant myself, is what I'm trying to say. And so like there were things that we saw in each other and that we appreciated in each other. But on my side, because of the things that I wasn't doing within self, it made it very difficult to have a stable, strong sort of bond there. Now, we got V, which is victory in some endeavor, and kite, which is vacation. Victory and vacation. I'll take it. Sounds like a celebratory graduate. Oh my gosh! The friend that I'm talking about. This is general, right? If you find resonance in it, then it's for you. But we're actually going on vacation in 13 days. It's less than 2 weeks now. That's a little freaky, but it's all right. And the victory. Oh, we have something to celebrate. He got the job, so we're gonna celebrate the job that he got. We're gonna celebrate the job that I'm gonna get. We're gonna celebrate her graduation, and it's just like me third wheeling all over. It's fine. I don't mind being the third wheel. And sometimes she'll be like, "Oh, like Patrick's over there by himself," and I'm like, "I'm okay, girl. Like I'm fine." She's like, "Oh, I feel bad because we all cuddled up on the couch and he's sitting on the other side of the couch by himself." I'm like, "It's fine. We're all watching this together, right?" But anyway, victory and vacation. Vacation, though, it feels like a break from that decrease energy. And this is why it's like the collective heart of humanity is starting to beat again. So we will be victorious here. I feel like with this vacation, it's almost like an ascension energy. The one thing about the kite, though, is that when the wind dies down, it comes back down to the ground, right? And so it's almost like while the winds of change are blowing this heavily, we are primed, which is why I take the viewpoint of like before the node switched into fixed Sagittarius, before they switch into fixed Scorpio and Taurus, we need to like take advantage of these winds of change right now to get where it is that we're going because we're not always going to be in this position. Eventually, we will find a flow. And hopefully, the flow that we find is one that has built in resolutions from everything that we experienced in that time of decrease or that we are experiencing in this time of decrease. We're starting to see what's actually there, what we were too busy to focus on in the time of increase or when it was easier to be about increase. We're starting to see the things that we were ignoring and we're starting to see what's important. And what's important, companionship said it, was human connection. Next is 55, abundance. I might have drunk too much water. Mm, it's fine. Oh, yeah. Because development and the marrying maiden, we have 53, 54, and 55. 53 and 54 at the bottom of the deck, though. So if I laid these out, development would be on top of decrease, and the marrying maiden would be on top of companionship for the 53, 54, and then abundance at the 55. If I laid them out, but I'm not. But if I did, I won't. But if I did, then that would be it. So we're going pink, or we're going blue, and then pink, and then green. This feels like very earthy energy. Very like swaddled by Mama Gaia energy. Very provided for. I love that. Times of abundance are a sign that life is at a peak and all seems right with the world. It is the greatest opportunity to provide for and support others, to be expansive, celebrate, and express gratitude. The experience is not necessarily dependent upon bank balances, although it often accompanies an upturn in the healthy, wealthy, and wise side of things. But fundamentally, the feeling of abundance comes from within. It's when your inner landscape is rich and fertile, so full to the point of overflow that you are glad to give because you have so much. There is a smile on your lips, and it's great to be alive. Abundance is the sweet time of reaping the rewards of work well done. It is the harvest that gathers up all that has been sown and then spreads it out bountifully. The traditional I Ching compares it to the sun at its zenith, invigorating, enriching, and illuminating all that it touches. The nature of existence itself is exuberantly prolific. We get zillions of stars, never just a handful. Impossible combinations of color and form, textures and tunes, all for the viewing, tasting, touching, listening. Abundance makes its entrance gradually. I don't know why I read like entrance like entrance. But abundance is kind of entrancing, isn't it? Abundance makes its entrance gradually after lean times or periods of contraction or decrease. And once the first blush of ripeness appears, the promise of plentiful profusion is not far off. Stay mindful to not expect abundance to last indefinitely and to not squander its rewards. Farmers aptly refer to it as make hay while the sun shines. There are all kinds of abundance, including one that is independent of externals, that is only known by tapping into the inexhaustible source of riches within your own being. I'll read that again. There are all kinds of abundance, including one that is independent of externals, that is only known by tapping into the inexhaustible source of riches within your own being. It enables us to be hearty and warm with a yes to supporting others, yet maintains a centered self respect that withdraws whenever is needed, in order to be restored by silence in nature and in aloneness. Hold on, let me take this gum out because it's tripping me up. I don't know why I put gum in my mouth before I started reading. Like, what was that about? I don't know. Featuring the tissues that you see back here sometimes. This video is not sponsored by Kleenex. Let's see, let's try that again because I like that. It enables us to be hearty and warm with a yes to supporting others, yet maintains a centered self respect that withdraws whenever it is needed, in order to be restored by silence in nature and in aloneness. A sense of well being is the ultimate richness, and it starts where you are. It requires responsiveness to the unfolding moment, whatever the moment is offering. And it begins with being abundantly loving of yourself. Abundantly honoring your own supports wholesomeness, self respect, and a sense of self worth. And it flowers into a charismatic luminosity that is independent of decorations and possessions. You always have the choice to stay small or to think abundant. One path leads you grumbling down the same old. The other makes the most of the now, appreciating this moment as all, as golden, as a gift. Each of us is continuously challenged by life to create abundance from a rich soil of possibilities. And even when we refuse the invitation, we're still given more. Partaking of the abundance that is Tao means spreading your wings, opening your windows, unlocking your heart and your thinking. It is only possible from an attitude of receptivity. If you're shut down inside, no matter what you've got, it's never going to be enough or bring you joy and peace of mind. Whenever your perspective shifts, even for a moment, from slim pickings mode, life becomes an opportunity for renewal, and then you can have some cake and eat it too. And that's what I was talking about. Like, I wasn't in a position myself. It's like no matter what he gave, no matter how he was present, it never would have been good enough. And all in my position, all I was experiencing was like, this isn't good enough. This isn't good enough for me to keep giving this time and energy and effort. This isn't good enough for me to continuously be present. This isn't good enough for me to hold space. But it was never good enough because I wasn't giving anything to myself. So it never would have been. Right? Like I've been there, girl. I live my most of my whole life there, honestly. And that's why companionship can be difficult to maintain in a time of decrease. So the cards here, it's May and the empty chair. Someone is leaving your life in May. Honestly, I feel like the someone that is leaving your life in May could be the version of yourself that is all about fear, all about lack, all about what you don't have, that doesn't appreciate what you do have, that doesn't tap into the resourcefulness that decrease asks us to, that doesn't fulfill self. And because it doesn't fulfill self, it's never fulfilled by anyone else. It can't be. Only we can do the things for us that are for us to do. We can accept from others what others can do for us, but it's not a substitute for what needs to be sort of present within ourselves. And if you're looking at a certain job, at a certain relationship, at a certain person to fulfill you in ways, it's like you can be with someone who fulfills you in ways that maybe like that bring you happiness. But if you're not in a position to give to yourself, it'll never be enough. And I know that there are sometimes, it was about November, December, maybe 2019, when that feeling of like whatever you think you're going to get from your twin flame or from this person or from this job, you need to learn to begin to giving. You need to learn to give it to yourself, basically. Because some of those things it's not for anyone else to give you. And as long as you continue looking for it in them, that relationship will never work. Or it'll be a relationship that it's like you have your good days and then you have your off days where you feel like you're not getting whatever it is that you need. And then you start to pull back or you strain the relationship. But again, it's like you're asking for things that nobody outside of yourself can give you. And so in some ways it's doomed to fail. I think that's the one sitting in this chair and the bottom's about to fall out. Either that or maybe there is someone in your life who you are expecting more from because you're not giving to yourself, and they may be the one exiting. Or you may be the one exiting because you feel like you're not getting whatever. But again, it's like you're asking for things that nobody else can give you. So, you know. Now this card, completion, has like four cards, everybody else has two, and it has a fifth card that branches into the next one. Successfully overcoming a problem, bridge is lying between completion and holding together. It's bridging these two. It fell out between them. I was like, okay, I'll keep it there. That's cute. The first card that came out for completion upright was Owl. This reminds me of the owl that's in the Ten of Swords in the Witch's Tarot. I think it came out for Scorpio. I'm pretty sure it came out for Scorpio yesterday. Owl is good advice from a wise person. Okay. I mean, you got owl and success. So good advice from a wise person and success. Do with that what you will. And I'm going to read this. So I think the next color I'm going to grab is orange because I've already used the other color. So it's going to be blue, pink, green, and then orange. This is number 63. Oh, I got to go to the restroom. Oh, I drank too much water. I'll go to the restroom after I read. I'm going to go to the restroom now, actually. So I'll be right back. I'm going to put my screen down and I'm going to mute the mic. So when you see the screen lifted, that means I'm back, right? So if you like scroll through, that means I'm back. Hey, I'm back. All right. Oh, just knocked over the water. Luckily, it has a lid. What? Oh my gosh. Spilled more water on the floor. How? Come on. This isn't that. It's not that. I've got cords over here. Mm, okay, well. Oop, oop. 1 second. Oh, my phone's still on mute. Okay. Where'd I put my glasses? I literally just have them. Here they are. Okay. Self completion. Let's read. It's the page before orange. Inner truth. I keep turning to the page of inner truth. There we go. I'm like, hello? Am I going to be able to get this? Completion. Enjoy the sweetness of the moment, for it is the culmination of a long journey. Peak experiences are like brilliant lights appearing on the vast panorama of our lives. We strive, train, and aim for them. Our ideals, hopes, and dreams are projected onto them. When a high point is finally reached, a different landscape of possibilities has already begun to appear. It is naive to believe that achieving a goal means it's then impossible to kick back and relax, or that from now on life will remain perfect forever. The reality is, in fact, that once you reach the top, you most assuredly begin some form of descent. Without the valley, there could be no peaks. Life would be flat and predictable. Whatever you have worked so hard to achieve is now within reach. Things might still need a little fine tuning, but essentially, the moment of triumph is at hand. It is important to not slip into any old habits of carelessness or inattention. Take care of all the maintenance requirements and attend to any last details. Your totality of commitment is what will determine the depth and breadth of your success. True satisfaction is available in of your success. Oh my gosh. Al just came out with success. Boom. I was like, I know I've seen the success card. Success for completion makes sense. Revolutionary, groundbreaking, like florals for spring, right? True satisfaction is available in every aspect of the journey through life. It is far more beneficial in such moments to build on your successes by harnessing your energy and containing it, rather than throwing it away on the excuse that you need a break, or on the other side of the coin, getting carried away by overenthusiasm. Allow the pressure, Although the pressure may seem to be off now, at any moment circumstances can take an unexpected turn. Remain alert to any signs of change. Avoid indulging the ego's need to project itself as superior or heroic. Be aware of any tendencies toward pretentiousness, taking on the role of benevolent monarch, or otherwise playing a role designed to demonstrate superiority over others. Breakthroughs are part of a continuum. They can occur in both small and great ways. When you have achieved any kind of peak, it is wisest to direct your energies toward returning to middle ground in a relaxed and natural way. Attaining the heights always challenges our mental and physical limits, if for no other reason than the fact that increased exposure means increased vulnerability. If you slack off now, before you have fully comprehended all the implications of your position, the situation can degenerate, and what seemed glorious can begin to distort and break down. It would be a pity to have come so far only to realize you've created a nightmare. You must be very diligent while savoring the perfection of this time to not become drunk on it, because out of unconsciousness you can easily stumble into snares set by greedy others. Prepare yourself to resume the day to day, step by step work of doing ordinary things in the best way that you can. There is no milestone on the road at which perfection is finally reached. The experience of perfection is a revelation. It is a realization that perfection is contained within every moment, regardless of whether the moment appears grand and cosmic or inconsequential and mundane. So this is coming out with wise sage advice. And I would say, because everything is sort of cyclic in nature, and it's important that you celebrate your victories and that you enjoy your successes, but it's also important that you don't sort of stay there too long, because it only takes a little bit of carelessness to sort of like slip up, right? Now, the cards that came out with Alan's success are the Spear and the Jug. Jug is lighthearted, carefree time. Spear is heartache over what you no longer have. See, I feel like this is sort of an either or, right? Or this is both. No. So if you jug to excess in your drunkenness, you may come upon a spear moment. So this is about knowing your limits. I feel like it's a P word. It's not proportionizing or proportional, but it's about knowing your limits. It's like enjoying the fruits of your labor with that carefree and lighthearted time, but not to do it so much that you end up losing the very thing that you're celebrating getting. Right? It's almost like if you are a new doctor and you're celebrating your first whatever, like your degree. Oh, it reminds me of like people on campus. They would get the RA job, right? And then it's like they would end up drinking in the hall or something like that and losing it. Or it's like I was gonna say, it's like if you're a doctor, right? And you get your first thing and you get a little too lax, you get a little too careless, and then you get a little too confident in your ability for whatever reason, that you're no longer like you no longer give surgery or that medical work the attention it needs. Then you end up being sued for malpractice and you lose your license because of a moment of carelessness brought on by like whatever, right? And you can do that in so many different instances, areas, and situations. Now, this is bridging over to holding together with the egg and the flag. See, there's more success here. Okay. There is, oops, oop, 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 oop. Those cards almost hit the flow. And I already came home to one tea leaf fortune card on the floor. Last time I went to my buddies, I was like, and I was looking for a Pinamue. I was like, whoa, when did this card get down here? So next is number 8, holding together. We're going to start with blue. We're going to end with blue because that sounds like a logical thing to do. Right? It's literally right here. Okay. Boom. Together. Also, with this success card, leading and bridging to more success, I feel like that's another reason to not get carried too far carried away, because whatever you find completion and success in now, it's going to lead to something else. And if you get too lax or if you get too complacent, it's almost like, like it's like it was this one dude I worked with over the summer, and he was looking for a job on like in one of the res halls. And he said that he used to work in one of the dorms that I worked in. We didn't work there at the same time, but I was an RA there. And I was like, oh, so like, why aren't you there? And he's like, well, I made the money that I wanted to make, and so I quit. And I was like, so you made the money that you wanted to make, meaning that you spent the money, which meant that you would no longer have money, and you quit. So now you're looking to get the job that you quit because you made enough. I was just like, okay. I'm like, okay. I mean, that works, right? I mean, I'm assuming he didn't need money for a while, so I don't know if he got another job or not. But anyway, something about whatever is coming to a completion now is a stepping stone to something else. And that's why it's important to like not get so caught up in it that we stop striving. And it's going back to that abundance card. It said abundance most often enters gradually. But if we get caught up here, then it's like we pull out of the energy of abundance before it takes us where we were going. So, holding together. The time of holding together supports all efforts that need harmonious and integrated cooperation with others. The only requirement is that each individual's commitment and involvement should be matched in intensity by everyone participating in the endeavor. Much more is possible when individual differences take a back seat to the overriding goal of maintaining harmony. Although some things may feel restrictive to individual personalities, ultimately, everyone is benefited when the me first ego isn't indulged. There is an intangible energy that attracts and bonds otherwise separate parts into a singular functioning or oneness of purpose. In human terms, it is evidenced in French in human terms, it is evidenced in friendliness, co-workers, the qualities of brotherhood and sisterhood or community spirit. It's the invisible glue that creates heartfelt connections through a shared vision and common experiences. This quality can manifest in any sphere of activity, work, play, or spiritual life of a community. In order to fully take advantage of their time spent together, each member of a group must be willing to share responsibility and perform their part of a task at hand. The ideal is to find the knack of moving in complete accord with one another, like a school of fish, as though of one body and one mind. A genuine spirit of goodwill toward one another that overrides the glitches and the uncertainties of any group effort will strengthen the connections among all the members. A group that acts in such all encompassing unity can withstand any adversity that would otherwise create great difficulties for an individual. It goes without saying that heartfelt bonding between people is not only empowering of the entire relationship, but of each partner as well. Keep in mind that any truly alive alliance must have an inspiring nucleus at its core that serves as a center point for integrating and unifying the group. If others have been gathering around you for guidance, be generous, receive them respectfully, and offer what you can, sincerely. If it has naturally come about that you are playing a more central role in the group venture, you're there because you are meant to be. We all have unique capacities, and for some, there is potential for leadership, although few ever actualize it. It may be that you are one of those few. Don't shy away from the opportunity if it arises, for it is in sync with the Tao and you will be supported as it's needed. The ability to guide others requires attentiveness to the unique needs of each individual. Leaders who are devoted to empowering others readily share their capacity for decisiveness, personal resolve, and uncompromising integrity. Before assuming such a responsibility, take time to be alone and consider what the voice of your heart is telling you. Listen dispassionately to the pros and cons. Weigh it all in the balance, and above all, avoid being swayed by group enthusiasm. The voice of inner truth always speaks with clarity. If you find there is a yes to taking on the responsibilities of a leadership role, then making a wholehearted commitment to the community is what life requires of you now. It has the potential to deepen your self awareness, your understanding, and your compassion toward others. And honestly, oh, look at the fish. The school is a fish. Honestly, like that's sort of what I was talking about when I was like, I kind of sort of have this like energy of abundance. I'm able to like spread it out to those around me, but also at the same time, if like I get upset or frustrated or if things get a little weird, then I'm super quick to pull out. And moving forward, it's important that I not be like that for whatever reason. I don't know why, but it's a lesson that I've been building up towards. I mean, journeys. It's a funny how journeys work out. in a way where it's like there's something in your life that maybe your whole life you've been building towards. Um, but I guess more consciously, I've been feeling the pull of community. I've been learning to let go of the resistance I have towards community because of what I previously experienced. Also, like it was about a year-ish ago. In a few weeks, I think it'll be a year ago when I really came into the power of my voice, which was like that North Node, Sagittarius, Chiron, and Leo moment for me. Um, and honestly, well, when I was an RA, I got to experience that I can be a leader and not have to change myself. Right? I thought that like I wouldn't be a good RA because like I'm not super authoritarian. I'm fairly lax and chill, believe it or not. Um, and I treat people like people. I don't believe I have to talk down to someone or take a position of authority to assert my authority because everyone in that situation knows what my job is. And I actually found that I can be a leader and be me. And not only can I be a leader and be me, but I can be a leader and be appreciated because I am being me, especially in a space where others may feel that it's like where authority or a little bit of power can inflate a head or an ego a little bit. Um, and so that's an opportunity that I really appreciated. And because of that, I actually wanted to sort of develop my leadership style more or to explore more of what like a leadership position would look like for me. And that's when I applied to be a staffing assistant and I got that position. And like being a leader in the RA sense was very different than being a leader in like in a work environment. And also in that environment, I discovered and I found out that I can be me and be a good like leader, be a good supervisor, be a good manager or whatever. And there were times when I didn't handle things the right way because I'm in an awkward position. I don't know how to address this. So I had a staff meeting one time, and in another meeting, it was brought to my awareness that there were some things that needed to change, and so I was like, hey, after the meeting, can I meet up with these two? Because I'm like, no, could I have just like sent them a personal message and been like, hey, like I need to meet with y'all before the meeting or after the meeting, so like meet me here at this time. Yes, but again in that moment I'm like I don't want to make this awkward, but I don't know what to do, so I made it awkward, right? And then she was like, one of the people who work for me, she was like, I don't appreciate how you like called us out in the middle of that meeting. And I said, I'm sorry, like this is the first time I've had an opportunity like this. I didn't really know how to deal with this. Like if there's another way that I can like do it, I'm all ears. No, I could have taken that position of like, well, I am the person in charge. I'm the authority here. And the reason why I called you out is because you messed up and blah, 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 blah. But that's not who I am. And so I was like, like this is my first opportunity. Like this is the first time I'm doing something like this. I'm sorry, but thank you for letting me know. So now I know not to do this in the future. And that's very much so the type of person I am. And I haven't really experienced a lot of leaders or a lot of people I haven't experienced a lot of people in a position of authority who would take the approach that I would take, right? It's usually always that like, well, I'm in charge and this is what I say, so this is what we're going to do type of energy. And there were other times in the summer where we had to do things and they didn't explain it and I was like, like this it just is what it is, unfortunately. Um and I discovered that like that approach was appreciated. And more than that, I discovered again that I can be a leader and not have to compromise my integrity or compromise who I am. I don't have to play up this like weird whatever because it's not me. Like I'm not that person. I respect the autonomy of each individual. Like we're all adults here. I don't need to talk to you like your children or treat you like your children. Like if you know that you're breaking the rules and I know that you're breaking the rules and like that's all this is. It's me doing my job, getting the information and then writing the report. I don't have to be this macho, grandiose, whatever. Be like, you know that you're doing wrong, right? And wag my finger. It's like, why? And again, like, it was appreciated. So I appreciate that it was appreciated. I appreciated those experiences that showed me that I can be a leader and still be like me. Um, and because of that, because I handled the approach that I did, or because I took the approach that I did and being myself, it allowed for me to create and maintain connections, even in spaces where I had to fulfill the roles that I was put in. And also because, I took that approach of like apologizing and being honest, I discovered that the reason why she didn't like me calling or singling them out at the end of the meeting was because she had another experience where she was like singled out for something that she didn't even do. And so again, it's like that approach allows for communication, and it allows for vulnerability, and it allows for openness in a space that now I'm not taken aback at, like, getting like, because there's something that motivates everything. And it's a motivation that I probably never would have known had I not taken the time to open that space for communication. And again, it's something that I appreciate a lot because I don't want to put anybody in a position or in a situation where they feel uncomfortable, right? Especially if I'm in a position of authority. Because then I mean, I don't, it makes me feel weird. It makes me feel weird when that happens. And I don't appreciate when like other people will put someone on the spot in a public environment and situation, but then they feel like they have to be confronted in private about it. Because when you put somebody else on the spot, it wasn't in private. So why should you have that sort of return to you when that's not what you did? And now there's this public perception that it's okay to do this in a certain space or in a situation where it's not okay. And so if someone in that same arena at that point in time says it's not okay that you just did this, I think that that is an appropriate thing to do because now everyone knows that it's not okay instead of me giving you the courtesy that you didn't give me. And now I potentially have to have this interaction with everyone who was present individually rather than just getting it all out at once. Like, but that's how the self will feel. The self will feel attacked in a public space, and the self will feel entitled to private whatever, but the self won't take accountability for the fact that it just did the very same thing to somebody else. And the self might not even go, oh, I could have done that in private, I shouldn't have done this in front of everybody, because it's not the self who's on the receiving end of that. And I don't think it's fair for us to demand or expect things from people that we're not willing to sort of do or give ourselves. Anyway, more about me, I guess. So, holding together comes out with the egg, which is success assured with good plans and hard work. Hard work has been coming up a lot lately, or in the space of this, hard work has come out a lot. Also, the holding together energy is very, very similar to companionship. But I love that holding together is coming out after completion because it's a lot of times, we'll work together with someone for a common goal and then we'll dissolve, right? So let's say because the world is in the state that it is in, we are learning to be nicer and kinder. We're learning to listen to the plights of people as, we're being more compassionate and involved and understanding of different viewpoints and walks of life and struggles that come with those because of how the systems have been set up. But it's like it's important that after we find a new flow that we don't forget everything that we've learned here, because if we do, we're probably going to incur another collective decrease, and it's going to be a collective decrease that was preventable because we've already been through this once, right? Like the first time it was groundbreaking, it was, what's the word, unprecedented. But because the unprecedented has happened, the precedence has already been set. We can't claim the word unprecedented anymore. It's already happened. And even if this happens on a smaller scale, We can't claim unprecedented because it's happened on such a large scale that it has, because it's affected as many things as it's affected, because it's brought to light all of the things that have come to the light. There are going to be a lot of things that will no longer be unprecedented. That's why it's important that we don't forget. And again, like, I don't know why that energy is coming. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's like it's so important that we not forget the things that we've discovered over the past over a year now. And the things that have been highlighted, the things that have been illuminated. It's important that we don't go back to sweeping it under the rug or forgetting that it ever happened. It's important that we're not so hell bent on returning to normal that we also return to all of these other things that aren't that great. It's like the lid was blown off of a lot of things. But anyway, so the egg, success assured with good plans and hard work. So there's success again. Success, bridging, more success. Which is again why it's important to not get so caught up in this completion that we've experienced here. And the flag, do not be tempted to lower your standards. Which again, it's that energy of like not going back. It's taking this success forward. So we have claw at the bottom on the left side. Be careful, do not take risks. Claw mirrored again with dare to dream. It's all a matter of perspective. This is very, very similar energy, but this one is dare to dream and it's holding on to a diamond. And it could be an energy of like, we feel like we're playing a little claw game where it's impossible to win, but I've beat the claw machine at least like 3 or 4 times. I don't have any of the little things that I won. I had like a little Santa sea star thing that I thought I took out of the box, but I don't know where it is. And the first one I won, I ended up giving it to one of my little cousins, and I instantly regretted it. I was like, man, that was the coolest thing that I've won too. And I saw a post on Tumblr that was like how to beat the claw machine, and it actually worked, right? It did take like $1.50 or $2, right? So, but it was worth it just to personally experience that those things can be beat. On the other side is the mule. Someone is extremely stubborn and unwilling to change. And then we have the fate card. Or fate was under dare to dream. I'm actually going to read both of these entries, especially for the claw and for dare to dream, just to see how they're different. Because again, it feels like similar energy, but one is just a little bit more based in things that we probably don't want to continue moving forward. The claw. You have saved our lives. We are eternally grateful. Toy Story with the little aliens. Claw. Be careful. Do not take risks. A large claw suspended from a sky that is filled with thunderclouds appears in front of the querist. This card is a warning for you to take extra care during the time frame indicated, and under no circumstances should you take any kind of risk. Now, the only month card that popped up is May. Also, the V card popped up, which is 5 in Roman numerals, which is May. So, we're in a very pivotal time right now. And it's been a pivotal time, but it's almost even more pivotal as we're coming to a space of coming out of decrease. Right? Oh, I opened right to it. Dare to dream. I opened right to it. Wow, look at that. Okay. And there's an eagle here. I talked about eagles, yesterday or the day before? And how bald eagles are like, the population of bald eagles has quadrupled in the past however many years. And apparently there are places in Canada where you see them like all the time. It's like I live in America where it's our national bird. And I don't think I've ever seen a bald eagle. But also, I wouldn't be surprised if I see one soon because I saw a video one day. somebody was talking about like you could be seeing horses, and I was like, that's random, that's weird, that's not for me because I never see horses. And then the next day, when I went to go take graduation pictures and we went to try to find a parking space around the arboretum, there were a bunch of horses in an enclosure. I was like, huh, I guess I did see horses. I don't even know what the horses were supposed to symbolize. I don't even remember what video it was, but I was like, okay, I did see horses. All right. So never say never, right? Dare to dream. No dream is too big for you. This card is an invitation to step wildly into your dreams, to visit them often, to ask them what they need from you. Despite what your current circumstances are, and no matter how far away you feel from your dreams, Spirit is telling you otherwise. We often neglect our dreams because we do not know how to attain them. But the process of going after them is a collaboration with the universe. If you show up for them, they will show up for you too. Eagle's sight is by far the strongest of its senses. In fact, it has the best sight in all the animal kingdom. It is said to be able to spot a rabbit from over a mile away. In the aspect of our personal dreams, the eagle can be an ally for visualizing that which feels far away. A huge part of attaining what we desire is the ability to visualize it. Continue to use your imagination while showing up for what is right in front of you, even if you can't see how they connect. Like many powerful and magical plants, buckthorn is on the invasive species list. Its resistance to being eradicated is one of the properties we call upon. If we are to go after our dreams, we will need resilience. Things may try to derail you, and you may even reach a moment where you think, am I not supposed to do this? But keep going. Stand your ground. Buckthorn is extremely helpful when dealing with external influences that may be discouraging. Ruby is one of the four precious gemstones and has been considered highly valuable throughout all of human history. It is also an incredibly hard stone, second only to diamond. Ruby can serve as an ally when we are chasing our dreams, as it encourages us to cultivate the durability required to succeed. It being considered a precious stone is significant, as things of value do not always come easily. We must persevere. Where buckthorn is helpful in dealing with external influences, ruby supports the internal. Call on it when you feel small, when your self talk is not so great, and when limiting beliefs are interrupting your progress. When limiting beliefs are interrupting your progress, and then again, we have the marrying maiden at the bottom of the deck, which it is a compromising situation, subordination, succumbing to seduction, manipulation, and low self esteem. But development is right behind it. It's not for us to stay there. And then fate is here. It reminds me of what Reem said at the end of the Pisces video. Or she said it throughout, and I'm sure she said it in other places. But like destiny is something that we create. Now, there are these sort of fixed junctions in time space. But I remember the one time I did edibles, and probably the only time I'll ever do anything besides drink alcohol occasionally. Um, I was in California and my cousin was like, here, cuz, like, eat this edible. And I was like, well, it's legal here and when in Rome. And I thought to myself, I was like, if he asks me, I'll do it. So I had already, I'm not going to say it was premeditated, but I had already made that, distinction in my mind. Now, it's because I ate the edible that I was laid down on the futon for 2 days and I missed LA twice. And I was the person who was talking the most about going to LA because we were like an hour from LA. We were in Corona. California. Um, and I missed LA because I was laid out on the futon for like 2.5 days after the edible. And anyway, one of the things that came, it was like a whole experience. Apparently, I didn't even know you could hallucinate on marijuana or whatever, but apparently with edibles, anything is possible. But I experienced what felt like a time loop with my little cousin because I had two cousins, my baby cousin and then the older cousin. and I was trying to talk to him about something, and she would make this noise, and she kept making the same noise. So then I would start over every time trying to talk to him, and then she would make the noise, and it was like freaking me out. I was like, somebody get her out of here. She freaking me out making this noise every time and I felt like I was in a time loop. But then after everybody left, it's like I was like almost being taught almost in a classroom that there were like these three timelines, and each timeline had a knot in it. And that knot was like the fixed point. But depending on how we navigated those fixed points, either it would lead to another fixed point or not. Well, I was only shown like a continuing timeline. So it was like there was this first knot, and then the second one was like two knots, and then the third one was three knots. And it was almost this feeling of like, depending on the choices and decisions that we make at these fixed points, it's going to lead us down a path and trajectory toward another fixed point. And so with fate, it's like there are certain things that are fixed. What is for you. But because you have choice and because your choices come with consequences, you may not choose it. And it's like it was for you to choose, but you didn't make that choice. So you forfeited the thing. Now, can you get another thing later? Is it that the thing will come back? Maybe. But nothing in life is guaranteed. And so that's why the question here, it's like, well, what's more important to you? Is it more important to you that you hold on to your limitations and your fears and your doubts and your worries? Are you willing to risk a life of this when you can be giving up abundance and completion and companionship and community? For some people, the answer is yes. Some people don't want to take the risk. Some people don't want to be hurt. And in order to not be hurt in this way, they will hurt themselves in other ways. And it's a choice. And that choice will have a series of consequences and other choices that will lead to further consequences. I believe that there are some things that are for us, but I also believe in the power of free will, and I believe in the power of choice. And again, we cannot choose certain things that were, for all intents and purposes, ours. But I mean, in real life, how many things do we buy and then throw away? Or we buy and we let it collect dust on a shelf to the point where it no longer works or functions? Or we buy it and then it's stolen? Now, I don't believe anyone can necessarily steal from us, but I do believe that with the manipulation in this card, I believe that we can be convinced to use our will and to use our choice to give away what was ours. And since ultimately it is our choice, it's honored. And like he made me, she made me in universal court. I don't know how that works because will is respected. Now, there are certain times when we are forced to do something when we are impressionable, right? But once you come into a certain level of adulthood, I guess, or maturity, you're responsible for your decisions. And the divine is like forgiving, and the divine is like, we understand, blah blah blah. But at the same time, this is something that required the fulfillment of other things. And if you don't fulfill, like if you don't make the correct choices to make this your consequence, then that's on you, because you had the opportunity and the ability and the capability and capacity to make these choices, but you chose limitation instead. You chose to follow your fear. You chose to be drunk on what it is that you've accomplished to the point where you stopped growing. That's your choice. No one else did that. It's a series of decisions and choices you made to be in fear, to not be vulnerable, to not be present, to step away. And those choices came with consequences that you might not like. And it's easier to feel that, like Seven of Swords, someone else is taking this and someone else is doing that. It's a lot harder for us to acknowledge where we've made choices that don't support the vision that we have for our lives. And just as easy as it is to make those choices, it's as easy to be bound by them. and for our life to be framed and controlled by them. It's like you can't come into the position, I don't want to say can't. From my perspective, and we all have our own journeys, it works differently for all of us. But from my perspective, it's difficult to come into a space of sovereignty and authority over your own life when you don't fully accept the power of your choices. If you don't accept your consequences, you're not operating fully in the power of choice. And sovereignty, like what people see as sovereignty, it's literally no different. But it's the consequences to a set of choices that we make that put us in a position that matches the vision that we deem as sovereignty. It's all of these choices and decisions that we make not thinking of the consequences or not thinking of, it's like in the moment satisfying self ego, and then they come with, their own set of consequences, and then, again, that's where that disconnect happens within us. But it's like it's all your choice. Fate fate is a series of choices and decisions that you make, and there are certain moments in time where we have the opportunity to make a certain choice or to make a certain decision that will open us up to a realm of possibilities, right? Like if you choose to be a doctor, then you have this medical realm of possibilities that come your way, right? So it does open us up to certain things. But again, at the end of the day, the choice is ours. And we can choose to sacrifice, we can choose to neglect, we can choose to give it away. But we expect, and again, like that's why I understand when we say that, like, what is for you is for you and no one else can take it. But also at the same time, I think it's one of those things that can sometimes not be very helpful, because what it does is sometimes it'll make us complacent in the space where we need to make a choice that aligns. We need to make that, like, integritous, the moral, the ethical choice. We need to make the choice that gets us closer to where we want to be. But with that, it's like, oh, well, I guess that wasn't for me anyway. And it's not for us to beat ourselves up, but it's like if you want to come into a space of mastery or in a space of sovereignty, like kings and queens, emperors and empresses, the high divine equivalents of those, priestesses and whatever, they know the power of their choice and they choose wisely. It's not like when it works for me, it's for me. When it works in my interest, then it's right, and when it doesn't, it's wrong. Like the devil gets blamed for a whole lot of stuff that I don't want to say he's not in, but it's like, we only blame the devil when we're forced or when we face our consequences. But who made that choice? Who made that decision? What motivated those choices and decisions? Bottom of the deck, Dare to Dream. The card that came out is the Alchemist. And I don't think the fake card, no, it's not here. Oh, here it is. Okay. I had to go find it. I love, see, because in the fake card, we see the wrapping. Oh my gosh, the egg. Success assured with good plans and hard work. Emphasis on good plans, emphasis on hard work. The egg, that's the success. And then in the fake card, we see the egg on a pillow, right? There you go. But it seems like the webbing around the egg, that's what the alchemist sort of has between their hands. It's the space of understanding and appreciating choice and decision when it comes to us navigating our lives and achieving and attaining whatever kind of fate there may be for us. Maybe it was your fate to give it away if you believe in fate. And again, like on our journeys, there are times when we do miss out, where we do make choices that have certain consequences, and it has the opportunity to teach us more. The alchemist, it's an energy that has so much, like, the alchemist is a very scientific energy, meaning it's like there's lots of hypothesis, there's lots of testing, there's lots of theory crafting and building, seeing if the theory is like correct or not, lots of repetition, lots of practice. in The Alchemist. And it's not that while we make certain choices and decisions, it's like maybe you take yourself off path, but in that you meet somebody or you acquire something or you experience a certain series of difficulties that after you triumph over, now you're in a position to help others do that. And that's become part of your individual unique path that puts you in a position to help, to heal, to mold, to grow in a space where others who haven't taken that path wouldn't necessarily be able to do it, right? So again, it's almost like the paradox in fate or the paradox in choice. Because you didn't choose this one thing, because you chose something else, it led you down a path, but in that path, it sort of validates, I don't want to say validates or certifies, but it in some ways certifies you, gives you credibility. What's the word? It starts credentials. It gives you some certain set form of credentials that now you can be of more impact in this space where it's needed. And it's because you made those choices. So it's not for us to, and like again, like that's also the power of choice, or that's the power of growth. That's the power of humanity. That we can make certain choices and decisions, but that we can learn and then rise above them. But because we went through them, we can introduce them into impact or something like that, right? You get what I'm trying to say. Maybe. If you don't, then I don't know. You don't, right? So now I'm going to read the from the bottom line to the top line, all of these, and then I'll shut this down. No final cards today. But that's The Alchemist. I said blue, pink, green, orange, blue, and then the last one is 54. So bear with me as I navigate these. The balance of increase and decrease is at play in our lives every day on every level. Nothing really disappears. Even matter cannot be destroyed. It is only redistributed. Stay alert to keep the balance in your daily life now, whether you are in a position to give or receive. It is neither the time for excessive hoarding nor excessive generosity. Whether companionship takes the form of an intimate relationship between two people or a larger community of family and friends, it is vital that each person's individual strengths have room to grow and that they avoid creating relationships of dependence. When individual strengths are united in accordance with inner truth, they create an energy field that can manifest heaven on earth. Abundance comes in all shapes and colors, and its energies can sometimes bring about a kind of Doppler effect of past blunders and unconscious behaviors. In other words, there can even be an abundance of stupidity from time to time. There's no point in getting agitated or frustrated about it. Try to find the cosmic comedy in it and wait it out. Remember that all peaks are complemented by valleys, including this one. Surprisingly, the most ordinary experiences can provide us with luminous insight. When, for example, you are able to dispassionately witness the subtle nuances of dark and light that shift within your own thoughts, it is possible to taste a peak in the form of insight that restores a sense of inner harmony and well being. There is a subtle and deep nourishment that is made possible only through the challenge of union. Keep an open mind and be alert, because now is the time that you may stumble across your tribe, or they may find you. And what a joy it is to connect with your people. What is past is gone forever, and even if you could bring it back, it would not restore your sense of well being in the here and now. No matter how great the temptation may be to act impulsively or seek quick fixes to your distress, it would only prolong the pain of dealing with the issues at hand. If you've been keeping up a false front, it is time to let it fall. Only the real can encounter the reality, and the encounter is overdue. So, with that, I hope you have a good whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that when the time comes for you to choose between the old and the new, to choose between fear and hope, regardless of how uncertain that hope is, or regardless how small the light may be, I hope you choose the thing that you really want. And I feel like more often than not, the thing that we really want is the thing that we're most afraid of. Maybe we're afraid of getting it and losing it. Maybe we're afraid of it not being what we thought it was. Maybe we're afraid of not being enough. Maybe we're afraid of what we'll discover about ourselves while we're in it. But I mean, I don't believe we're made to suffer. I don't believe we're given an earth as glorious and bountiful as the one we've been given. And I don't believe that, the creator created us to, like, just, I don't know, for us to be down here and like miserable and not getting it together. But we were also blessed with the gift of choice, and even further blessed with consequences, because there are certain choices and decisions that we can make to get us what we want out of life, almost guaranteed. But there are a lot of limiting beliefs and reasons why we don't make those courageous choices and decisions, why we shy away from the light instead of following it, or why we shy away from darkness when the darkness only has more to reveal to us about the light, or the light only has more to reveal to us about the darkness. It's like we wander in this realm of shadow in between obstructed light and incomplete darkness, because the darkness is also being obstructed. It's like partial illumination is no different than an obstruction. And so it's, in some ways, it's also for us to be mindful of what we use to illuminate the dark, and whether or not that thing is of, I guess I'll say, of light. If it's more relative than it is absolute. And relative is in between experiences. Absolute is, it's tricky to find in this space. So, with all of that, I wish you all the best. Even if you don't want to have a good time, I hope you have a great time, because today I'm that type of person. If you want to be miserable, oh well. I mean, if you want to be miserable, you'll find a way to be miserable, honestly. Right? You could have the best day of your life, but still be miserable. I've been there. You can have good people in your life who care about you, who support you in the ways that they know how to, in the ways that only they can. And it probably didn't feel great to have it not acknowledged or appreciated. It didn't feel great to feel like I didn't have it. But again, I wasn't in a space to receive it either. So it's a real catch 22, What are you going to do? So I'll catch y'all whenever I catch y'all, which might be tomorrow, for the Daily Farmer's Almanac, May 17th edition. I'm excited. We'll get a little preview. If you stuck through this. So May 17th will bring us, oh, a bird. The peregrine falcon. Oh my gosh. I saw a video about a peregrine falcon pop up on my feed in YouTube, on my timeline or whatever, my home screen, whatever you call it on YouTube. And I was like, I talked about peregrine falcons and kettle hawks before, like last year. The peregrine falcon, the fastest bird on Earth, when it dives for its prey, it falls out of the sky at speeds that no other bird or animal can achieve, more than 200 miles per hour. The peregrine falcon is the fastest animal on the planet. It has a dive speed that's much faster, much, much faster than an eagle can run. But the falcon doesn't fight gravity when it dives either. It doesn't fight the greater forces at play. It finds a way to align with them in a way that achieves what it wants to achieve. So that's how we end this. I kind of sort of like that today. We'll dig more into it tomorrow. We'll see what it brings tomorrow. All right. Bye.